Hello, Professor. This is Ray Lopez, and together with my group comprised of Lucas Cavazos, Dalton Kutak, Adrian Lopez, and David Lopez, this is our presentation on the TED Talk. Specifically, we chose How Great Leaders Inspire Action by Simon Sinek. Simon begins by bringing in examples of uh, remarkable leaders and organizations such as Apple and Martin Luther King and the Wright brothers. He begins by breaking down his golden circle visual aid to explain the process he wants to talk about on how leaders think compared to the status quo. He explains why the reverse process, thinking from the inside out, is more effective than thinking from the outside in. And we chose this one specifically because we feel that this class has given us managerial skills and a look into the tools that successful leaders use to succeed in their field. Okay, up next, some background on Simon. Simon is a motivational speaker and author. The TED Talk we are covering is a summarization of his first book, titled Start With Why: How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. He has a BA in Cultural Anthropology from the Brandeis University. And up next, what is a leader? The definition of a leader, according to dictionary.com, is a person or thing that leads. According to what we learn in this class, a leader is supposed to be someone who not only leads but inspires as well. They want people to be passionate as they are on whatever projects or whatever mission they're trying to accomplish. A true leader works with his people hand in hand to complete their mission. This is why we feel that Simon's TED Talk encapsulates this well, because he uses a thought process that successful leaders, in his view, have used to push through the barriers of either starting from a small company or whatever trials and tribulations they may have faced. He feels that this TED Talk helped us understand how to do the same. Up next is going to be Dalton, and he's going to take it away with explaining the Wright brothers.
From the TED Talk of Simon Sinek, one of the main things I like that he mentioned was that the goal is not to do business with everybody who needs your business, but more so the goal is to do business with people who believe in what you believe. And a great example of this analogy he brought up was with Samuel Langley and the Wright brothers in attempts to build a plane, pretty much. And Samuel Langley was assumed to pretty much have the recipe for success in regards of this. Back in the day, the dream to fly was a popular topic among people. Samuel Langley was a popular scholar and he was very well connected. He held a seat at Harvard, and he also worked at the Smithsonian. And after being given $50,000, which was a lot back then, by the War Department to invent a method of flying, he hired the best minds money could find, and the New York Times often followed him around, and a lot of people rooted for him. For the Wright brothers, on the other hand, they were attempting to do the same thing, but from a completely different path. They used their earnings from their bicycle shop, and everyone on their team, including them, did not have a college education. However, what makes them different is that they were driven by a cause and a belief that they could change the course of the world if they could figure out how to fly. Unlike Langley, and who was just in it for the fame and money. And as an end result, the Wright brothers achieved the goal in the pursuit of flight on December 17th, 1903. The day Langley found out, he quit, And this just proves that he had the wrong types of motivation for it. He just wanted to be the first one to do it, to get the fame and the money. And he could have just congratulated them and then try to further improve upon what they figured out. And pretty much, yeah. But the people who worked for the Wright brothers, they did it with the people who believed and worked for the Wright brothers. They did it with blood, sweat, and tears. Langley was only in pursuit of the riches and the end result, and his workers were only motivated for their paychecks. I think this was a good example to prove what wrong motivation can do. I think Langley had everything he needed to be able to do this, more set up than anybody else, and he just couldn't do it because all he could think about was being known and the money he could get from it, and he wasn't really truly dedicated and motivated from it. And I think this just stresses that for the Wright brothers case, that it's very important.
Hello, I'll be discussing Simon Sinek's model that he refers to as the Golden Circle. This model, in his opinion, is the most commonly used model that leaders use to market their products or services. The Golden Circle consists of 3 circles within each other. The outermost circle is called the what. The what is called this because every organization on the planet knows what they do. These are products they sell or services they offer. The next circle is referred to as the how. Some organizations know how they do it. These are things that make them special or set them apart from their competition. And then finally, the innermost circle is referred to as the why. Very few organizations know why they do what they do. Why is not about making money. That's the end result. Why is a purpose, cause, or belief that they have. It's the reason your whole organization exists. One example that he uses that I found very interesting is he talks about Apple. Apple's an interesting case because as most companies work their way from the what to the why, Apple reverses that and they go from the why to the what. A typical company would go about it by saying what their product is, how it's better than the competition, and why you should buy it. But the way Apple goes about it is they start with the why. And in this example, their why is, we believe in challenging the status quo and doing things different. Their how is, our products are beautifully designed and easy to use. And their what is their product, which is a product called the iPad. When they start like this, they show why their product is unique, why it has value, and why people should be buying that over other products. And it really makes them stand out, and that's why they're a powerhouse in their industry. And it really boils down to the goal is not just to get people to buy your product, but to get people to believe in your purpose or what you believe in, essentially. And if you can get people to do that, then you're able to succeed. The same thing goes with hiring people. If people see that you have a great cause, something to believe in, then they're willing to join you, and it motivates them to be led by such a great person. That's the whole point of the Golden Circle and how to be successful while using it.
You do, they buy why you do it. So let me give you a famous example, a famous failure and a famous success of the law of diffusion of innovation. First, the famous failure. It's a commercial example. As we said before a second ago, the recipe for success is money and the right people and the right marketing conditions, right? You should have success then. Look at TiVo. From the time TiVo came out about 8 or 9 years ago to this current day, they are the single highest quality product on the market. Hands down, there is no dispute. They were extremely well funded. Market conditions were fantastic. I mean, we use TiVo as a verb. I TiVo stuff on my piece of junk Time Warner DVR all the time. But TiVo is a commercial failure. They've never made money. And when they went IPO, their stock was at about $30 or $40 and then plummeted, and it's never traded above 10. In fact, I don't think it's even traded above 6, except for a couple of little spikes. Because you see, when TiVo launched their product, they told us all what they had. They said, we have a product that pauses live TV, skips commercials, rewinds live TV, and memorizes your viewing habits without you even asking. And the cynical majority said, we don't believe you, we don't need it, we don't like it, you're scaring us. What if they had said, if you're the kind of person who likes to have total control over every aspect of your life, boy, do we have a product for you. It pauses live TV, skips commercials, memorizes your viewing habits, etc., etc. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply serves as the proof of what you believe. Now let me give you a successful example of the law of diffusion of innovation. In the summer of 1963, 250,000 people showed up on the Mall in Washington to hear Dr. King speak. They sent out no invitations, and there was no website to check the date. How do you do that? Well, Dr. King wasn't the only man in America who was a great orator. He wasn't the only man in America who suffered in a pre-civil rights America. In fact, some of his ideas were bad. But he had a gift. He didn't go around telling people what needed to change in America. He went around and told people what he believed. I believe, I believe, I believe, he told people. And people who believed what he believed took his cause and they made it their own, and they told people. And some of those people created structures to get the word out to even more people. And lo and behold, 250,000 people showed up on the right day, on the right time to hear him speak. How many of them showed up for him? 0. They showed up for themselves. It's what they believed about America that got them to travel on a bus for 8 hours to stand in the sun in Washington in the middle of August. It's what they believed, and it wasn't about black versus white. 25% of the audience was white. Dr. King believed that there were 2 types of laws in this world, those that are made by a higher authority and those that are made by man. And not until all the laws that are made by man are consistent with the laws that are made by the higher authority will we live in a just world. It just so happens that the civil rights movement was the perfect thing to help him bring his cause to life. We followed him not for him, but for ourselves. And by the way, he gave the I have a dream speech, not the I have a plan speech. Listen to politicians now with their comprehensive 12-point plans. They're not inspiring anybody. Because there are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us. Whether they're individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead, not because we have to, but because we want to. We follow those who lead, not for them, but for ourselves. And it's those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them or find others who inspire them. Thank you very much.
Sharing. That's video.
Hello, my name is Adrian Lopez. I'm here to present the law of diffusion of innovation. This is a linear diagram that presents the population categorized into popularity sections. The following image on the left presents the innovators, which is the people who start off the product, and it goes into the early adopters, which is the very first few people that buy the product itself. Then there's this gap here that is between the early adopters and the early majority. That part is where it needs to breach the gap to go to the top. The early majority is the very few people that, oh no, not the very few people, but the majority that are into the product very early, and the late majority are the people that start getting into the product after the fact. And the laggards are the people who who don't even know about the product, and they use older products. For example, they might use like a Mac instead of a HP. And over here on the right side, the image is a percentage of people in each category for the popularity sections. Right, next. Leadership traits are very important to an organization manager, as it defines what their traits are and how they help out the organization. The communication trait helps people and other employees understand what they need to do and get done, while at the same time having integrity towards them. Integrity is basically just having moral grounds. It helps employees and clients alike trust one another. And third of all, learning is a factor that helps us realize we are human. We do make mistakes, and we try to learn from them along the way for the better future. Right. Next, SWOT analysis allows us to maintain and even thrive a company. While the law of diffusion of innovation and the golden ring may be a starter to a company, it doesn't give us any information on how to maintain one. And this is why I have this slide in the presentation. So to explain this SWOT analysis, it has 4 factors in it. It has strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Strength is competitive advantage, which allows us to help us compete to other competitors, and weakness is the competitive disadvantage. It shows our weaknesses. It shows the factors that we may not notice that we need to improve upon. And the opportunity is the profit increase. Profit increase is one part of having an organization. It allows us to notice what we need to do better in our organization. Okay, so threat is the profit integrity loss. This means that there are other sources outside that may affect our company. This may be as a social media problem, or maybe even a employee problem. All right, and that would be the end of my presentation. The next slide would be a video of Simon Sinek's TED Talk.
A little bit about Martin Luther King. He is a prime example of a great leader. Without passing the word around about the speech he was going to give in DC, 250,000 people showed up of their own accord. So none of these people knew when Martin Luther King was going to give the I Have a Dream speech, but they all showed up at the right time and the right day and the right place to hear Martin Luther King give his speech. And the main reason why these people followed him was because of why he was doing it. So they didn't want to know like how or what, but it was because why he was doing it, for slavery and for civil rights of people. And so he was addressing all of that. So these people who also had their own ideals and beliefs kind of aligned with him. They heard what he had to say and they knew why he was doing it, and that is why they wanted to follow him, because he was a great leader and he understood what he was doing and needed to be, and said what he needed to say. And with that, we are at the conclusion. So the main purpose of our presentation was to show what leadership is and how people who lead are different from leaders. Those who lead have a strong belief and more motivation, and people follow them for themselves and for their beliefs. It is not about how you do it and what you do, but why you do it. This is how company CEOs have been able to accomplish a lot and be successful in selling their product. By establishing why they do and expressing their firm beliefs, more people will tend to flock over to them and purchase products from their business. This was based off of Simon's research over successful people who knew how to lead, which refers back to Martin Luther King being a great leader, or how the Wright brothers took flight before the other guy who was paid to do this, or that task to fly. And these are the sources that we used to get all our information for the presentation. And with that, that is the end. So